Good morning, students. I am Anupam Alok, your science teacher. Today I am going to teach you chemistry, chapter 1 of class 10. The name of the chapter is chemical equation and chemical reactions. As we know that the name of the chapter is chemical equations and chemical reactions, so we all of us have to know about the definition of chemical equation as well as chemical reactions. So we are going to define chemical reactions first of all, then after we will define chemical equation. As we know that chemical changes is simply known as chemical reaction. It is already known to all of you, and chemical equation is symbolic representation of chemical changes in the form of equation. That is, when we denote any chemical reactions in the form of symbols as well as in the form of equation, then that becomes chemical equation. So we have to discuss about two topics here, chemical equations as well as chemical reaction. So today first I am going to discuss about the chemical equation and then after chemical reaction. Chemical equation is again defined as symbolic representation of chemical changes in the form of equation, and we can write it in the form of equation, and with the help of so many examples it will be cleared that what is chemical equation. Now I am going to give you some examples of chemical equation. So we are going to give you examples of chemical equations with the help of some equations, important equations. Chemical equation, symbolic representation of chemical changes, in the form of equation. Equation is called chemical equation. For example, H2 plus O2, H2O, Mg plus Cl2, MgCl2, N2 plus H2, NH3, H2 plus Cl2 as HCl. Here all the equations are in the form of unbalanced chemical equations, which we will study in later, that there are two types of chemical equation, unbalanced chemical equation as well as balanced chemical equations. Here all the examples of equations are in the form of unbalanced chemical equations, and when we will learn about the types of chemical equation, then we will describe it and we will balance these all chemical equations. So now we are going to write about the types of chemical equation. There are two types of chemical equation. There are two types of chemical equation. First, unbalanced chemical equation, unbalanced chemical equation. Second, balanced chemical equation, balanced chemical equation. Now we are going to study about the types of reactions, and the first type of reaction, that is unbalanced chemical equation. Unbalanced chemical equation. Students, as we know that in the case of unbalanced chemical equation, the number of atoms of each element in a reactant is not equal to the number of atoms of each element in the product. This is the main or basic example of our basic definition of unbalanced chemical equations. So with the help of some examples, we can explain it that the number of atoms of each element in the reactant is not equal to the number of atoms of each element in the product. So we are going to write some examples of unbalanced chemical equation. The first example is H2 plus Cl2 HCl, Mg plus O2 MgO, N2 plus H2 NH3, H2 plus O2 H2O. So, with the help of all these four examples, we come to the conclusion that in each of the above example, number of atoms in reactant of each atom is not equal to number of atoms of each atom in the product. So, these all are examples of unbalanced chemical equations. Students, as we know that any equation is formed with the help of two species. First, reactant, and the second is product. And before defining the second type of chemical equation, we must have to know about the two species, that is reactant as well as product. The definition of reactant is given as those chemical species which participate in any chemical reaction is known as reactant, and the definition of product is those chemical species which participate, and after the participation the substance which are formed are known as products. So in above four examples, H2 plus Cl2 is reactant and HCl is product. In the same way, in the second, third and fourth examples, Mg plus O2, N2 plus H2, H2 plus O2 are examples of reactants, and MgO, NH3, H2O are examples of products. So all of us understood about the two species, reactants as well as products. Now we are going to define balanced chemical equation. Students, as we know that we take help of reactants as well as products for the formation of any unbalanced chemical equations as well as balanced chemical equation. In the same way, we are defining the balanced chemical equation as those chemical equations in which number of atoms of each element in a reactant is equal to number of atoms of each element in product, then that type of equation is known as balanced chemical equations. And we are going to discuss this type of balanced chemical equation with some examples, or with the help of all above four examples we can give the equations or write the equations in the form of balanced chemical equations. So balanced chemical equation, balanced chemical equations. H2 plus Cl2 2HCl Mg plus O2 MgO N2 plus H2 NH3 H2 plus O2 H2O. So above 4 examples are known as balanced chemical equations because the number of atoms of each element in a reactant is equal to number of atoms of each element in product in all the above 4 examples. So students, all of us know about the two types of chemical equations, and in the next class we will study about the method of balancing these chemical equations and about the chemical reactions which will take place in our topic, that is chemical equation and reactions. So we will start with the next topic, chemical reactions, in the next class. And before closing my statement, again saying all of you to study these topics very sincerely so that we will be able to solve all the questions regarding these topics very well, in a very well manner. And after the study of these topics, we will be able to solve all the questions related to this topic, and the balancing of these equations will be discussed later on, and balancing will be done on the basis of equalizing the number of atoms of each element in product as well as reactant. So all the best, and hope that all of you have understood all the materials given to you or taught to you in this class. Okay, thank you, all the best. Now we will meet in the next class with the next topic.